Over the years, I've seen several studies that state that North Americans feel more fearful now than they did in the 70s. More people think about their safety and what might happen to them. They're more worried about violent crime. Just overall, people live in a higher state of fear than they did 30 or 40 years ago. The interesting thing about that is the same studies point out that the rate of violent crimes has steadily dropped since the 1970s. So, interestingly, we are living more fearfully in a time that's actually much safer. The incidence of fear and the culture of fear is on the rise around us. We live in a fearful time. We're scared of things that might happen to us personally. We're scared of things that might happen to us locally. We're scared of things that might happen on a national scale or an international scale. Fear is a big deal right now. And fear is a real problem. In fact, it's not just us and it's not just now. Fear has always been a problem for people. In fact, you find it all throughout the Old Testament. You find it messing things up in the New Testament. Fear is an issue that we should be dealing with. And so this week, I'm going to share with you one of my favorite stories to tell. I really like this story. I think it preaches really well because it preaches to me. It reminds me of how I should respond. It reminds me of how I should act. It reminds me of who I want to be and who, sadly, I am not yet. But it reminds me of what's important. A really interesting story that will bring out a really practical point. The sermon is called, When the Future Looks Scary. As Christian people, we better know what we are to be and how we are to act, and where we're to focus when the future looks scary. That's what we'll learn this Sunday. In our Bible study, we are still in 2 Kings chapter 7 and chapter 8. In this section, we're talking about the temple still, the temple that Solomon built, and all the things he put into the temple. And that may seem like a really academic, boring, kind of dumb thing to study. Who cares whether they had 10 tables or 6 washstands or whatever? Who cares? But some of it's just interesting, just in the details and the facts. But more than that, it's interesting because of the attitudes that each of those things teaches. The Bible doesn't record the furniture of the temple simply so we know what was in the temple. Who cares? The Bible records the furniture of the temple because that furniture and those pieces were meant to teach something to the people back then, and they continue to teach us today. So go back through and read 2 Kings chapter 7 and 8. Look at all the things that were built and made and crafted for the temple, and think about, what did this mean? What was this intended to teach? What was its purpose physically, but what was its purpose as an educational tool as well? Because every single one of them had a purpose. And that's what we're going to talk about this week, because those purposes, that teaching, that continues to us today. So I think that'll be interesting. Read ahead and see what you got for Sunday morning. Bring it and share your insights, and we'll have a better class that way. Once again, it is a beautiful day today. It was nice to have so many people around on the long weekend. I was a little concerned that not many people would be here, but we had lots. I'm looking forward to seeing each of you this Sunday. Bring a friend. It'd be a great weekend to do that too.